That film is already causing a stir around the world. The groundbreaking Waltz with Bashir. We'll have more on that later, but first, welcome to KINO, the film magazine from DW TV. It's typical November weather here in Berlin, cold, grey and miserable. But there's a bright spot on the cinema calendar, the film Novemberkind. It's a family drama featuring young star Maria Mühe in a double role.
East Germany, 1980. A young woman flees to the west, leaving behind her baby daughter with her grandparents. Maria Mühe plays both young mother Anne and her daughter Inga 25 years later. The film shows how Inga travels all over Germany searching for her mother and her own identity. For the young actress, it's a very personal film.
Yes, I always say it's my baby, especially since I'm lucky enough to play two roles. It's both a double challenge and a double blessing. Each role alone would be a gift for any young actress.
Robert, a literature professor from the West, travels to a small village in Mecklenburg looking for Inga. She believes that her mother is dead.
Wer sind Sie denn?
Robert can't believe how closely Inga resembles her mother.
Habe ich einen Fussel im Gesicht?
Inga learns her mother is alive. Anna's story is told in flashbacks. 25 years earlier, she fell in love with a Russian deserter.
Some days I had to keep switching between the characters. That was difficult. Sometimes I lost track of who I was. The director helped me a lot. He kept saying, "What I see is good. Don't worry. I'll tell you if it's wrong."
Maria Mühe is familiar with the feeling of being left behind. Her parents, the actors Jenny Gröllmann and Ulrich Mühe, died within a year of each other. In the film, a mother leaves her child to follow the love of her life to the West. It was very challenging material for the up-and-coming actress.
Eins, zwei, drei.
One boundary I crossed was jumping into that cold water. It was really cold. And another boundary was playing a mother who decides against her own baby. That was hard too. It wasn't that straightforward to act.
On the evening that Anna and deserter Yuri plan to escape, her baby develops a high fever. Anna doesn't think it would survive the journey, so she leaves her daughter behind with her parents in East Germany.
Yes, she's a very fractured and extremely unhappy character.
Habt ihr eine Ahnung, wo sie jetzt sein könnte?
Du weißt ja nicht, was Opa alles durchgemacht hat.
Was? Hast du den Kontakt zu ihr abgebrochen?
Schluss jetzt.
Du hast deine eigene Tochter verraten.
Halt deinen Mund!
Das könnte dir so passen. Ich kann nicht verstehen, wie ihr noch ruhig schlafen könnt.
Hat sie sich vielleicht einmal hier blicken lassen? Die ganze Zeit nach der Wende. Nicht ein einziges Mal.
Und ihr seid daran schuld.
Inga's grandparents kept her mother's escape a secret. Now Inga, tired of living a lie, is determined to find her.
I think it's important to find your roots. You need to know where you came from.
Würden Sie mir helfen, wenn ich sie suche?
Bleibt mir wohl gar nichts anderes übrig.
The film documents a dark chapter in the history of divided Germany. Families were separated, with tragic consequences to the present day. While Robert follows the women's story for use in his new novel, Inga finds the courage to confront her past.
Anne? Anneliese Kaden?
You have to know the truth to live your life and to understand why things are the way they are and why you react the way you do. I couldn't live with a lie.
Maria Mühe brilliantly masters her double role. Christian Schwochow's directing debut is a thrilling family drama, punctuated by melancholy and humor.
The The Doc Leipzig is one of the world's best documentary film festivals. This year it featured 300 films from 50 countries. The language of documentary cinema continues to evolve. One trend is the mixing of styles. The use of animated sequences, for example, is becoming much more common. Our reporter Regina Roland went to Leipzig to pick out the best of the fest.
Conventional documentary films side by side with experimental works. The combination is what makes the Leipzig Doc Festival so exciting. 3 directors we met at the event showed us how varied the genre can be. Helena Czeszkikowa's film has received the most important award of the year, the European Film Award. When we met in Leipzig, she wasn't yet aware that she'd also won the Leipzig's Golden Dove for Best Film.
You're the first person to tell me that. That's really fantastic.
I've rarely found a documentary film as moving as Helena Czeszkikowa's René. It's a portrait of a man who repeatedly breaks the law. The first time he goes to prison, he's only 16. The director followed René for almost 20 years, from 1989 to 2007. Most of his life has been spent inside prisons. During his 20 years behind bars, his country underwent huge political and social changes.
It's a combination of documentary film and story. I thought it would be wonderful if René would reform, but he didn't, and I can't do anything to change that. I have to accept that. That's part of the method, accepting the script written by life.
Vylezu z basy. Jediný, koho znám, jsou zase kriminálníci, jo? Když budu chtít poznat někoho jiného, tak to nepoznám tím, že budu doma. Můžu někam chodit, když budu chtít žít poctivě.
René is a film that stays with the viewer for a long time. It's powerfully and sensitively told, and infinitely sad. Iranian director Roshsareh Chamagami has travelled to Leipzig from Tehran. The film she's brought with her is full of fascinating imagery. It's a documentary interspersed with animated scenes. The protagonist is a pavement artist in Tehran, an outsider who can't live from his art. Painter Jamshid doesn't fit into the strict Islamic society he lives in. His passion for art borders on the obsessive. Roshsareh uses animated sequences to illustrate his thoughts. That was also useful for avoiding censorship.
Documentary is not a technique, documentary is a content. Documentary is a film which claims to show you the reality, and the reality can be animation, you know, and it makes you feel that you are seeing an authentic thing. So I don't feel any limitation to use animation in a documentary.
وقتی که قانون دست اوناست هر کاری ممکنه بکنه. اعدام چیزی که هر موقع ممکنه به دلایل غیر منطقی برای آدم پیش میاد. بدون اینکه دلایل کافی داشته باشن ممکنه آدمو متهم کنه.
Geonosis is not only about a painter, it's also about social exclusion and political repression. The film pulls off an impressive balancing act. I also met Volker Schlecht, the director of an entertaining animated film. The 10-minute high-speed tour through German national history took 2 years to make. The result is complex and highly amusing. the German sausage and its many slices, from the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation up to the First World War. The darkest chapter, the Nazi era. Vogelschlecht's fascinating outline of German history uses no archive film material and makes few omissions.
One of the nice things about animation is that it allows you to get straight to the point. In other films, you'd need to use actors, or in documentary films, archive material. And to use that, you've got to have it. I think you can be more focused in animated films. Among other methods, you can use metaphors to illustrate things.
1989, the fall of the wall, followed by German reunification. The road was suddenly wide open, with plenty of detours and dead ends. 3 extraordinary films, 3 different ways of documenting stories. They're among the best the Leipzig Documentary and Animated Film Festival has to offer.
As we've just seen, there's a new trend of using animation in documentaries, which brings us to Waltz with Bashir. It's a new kind of film. At once a cartoon, a documentary and a drama. Many critics say it has already earned a place in cinematic history. Director Ari Fohlmann examines the trauma he suffered as a soldier in the First Lebanon War. He tries to recover long-suppressed memories.
The Lebanon War in 1982. Israeli troops push forward to Beirut. Many young, inexperienced soldiers are among them, but the military campaign turns into a nightmare. Waltz with Bashir revisits the war, but employs an unusual medium to relate the events, an animated documentary. The movie was partly financed with German money from the successful 2-man production company Razor Film in Berlin.
It's about remembering a war that perhaps would be better to forget. How the events left a mark on the people who took part in it.
For the first time, Israel was considered the aggressor in a war. Razor Film presented Waltz with Bashir at the 2008 Cannes Film Festival and feared it could meet with rejection, especially from Israel. The film portrays Israeli soldiers like naive teenagers on a school trip. Cartoon images are used to show blind violence and destruction with pop music in the background. It's provocative and breaks taboos.
Ich sehe einen Mercedes die Straße runterkommen und wir feuern wie verrückt auf ihn. 2 Jahre lang Kampfausbildung und dann diese Angst, diese unkontrollierbare Angst.
Up until then, I mean, all wars were as if justified in many ways, but now suddenly it looked completely different.
The film deals with suppression, the failure of individual memory, as well as the collective memory of a country. The Israelis refuse to intervene as Palestinian civilians in refugee camps are massacred. The film is a dark journey into the past, for the director as well.
An dem Abend kamen zum ersten Mal nach 20 Jahren die Erinnerungen an den Krieg im Libanon hoch. Nicht nur an den Libanon, sondern auch an die Massaker in den Flüchtlingslagern von Sabra und Shatila.
Was wir von Ari immer wieder hören, ist, dass
Ari keeps telling us that former soldiers he doesn't know often approach him on the street and tell him their stories, because it's a relief to them that somebody has brought their personal story to the public.
Auch ihre Geschichte jetzt noch nachträglich sozusagen erzählen.
The film shows soldiers passing their time on occupied beaches. It portrays war as completely absurd and senseless. Surprisingly, the movie hasn't triggered a major controversy in Israel.
The film
was very successful at the box office and recently swept 6 Israeli Film Awards, including Best Picture.
Darunter auch als bester Film.
Even the Arab world recognized the Israeli movie for remembering the massacres in the camps of Sabra and Shatila.
People
in the Arab world may have almost forgotten Sabra and Shatila. And the memory from the Israeli side is also a form of recognition of Israel's role in the massacres, even if the director doesn't speak in the name of all Israelis.
During his absence, the soldier's hometown and country become alien to him. Waltz with Bashir explores a dark chapter of the Middle East conflict. It took place decades ago, but remains relevant today.
The film was sold to all the countries involved and all those that have cinemas or DVD distribution.
And Israel is even submitting Waltz with Bashir as its Oscar entry for the Best Foreign Language Film Award. It's a success story that just keeps on going.
Waltz with Bashir has already been nominated in the Best Film category for the European Film Prize. German films and talent are also in the running this year for Europe's most important film honor. We have that and more on our shortcuts.
In Cannes, Andreas Dresen caused a sensation with his older cast members from Cloud 9. The film explores the sexual relationship between a 65-year-old married woman and her older lover. It's gentle and authentic.
Ich habe 2 Stunden Zeit.
Andreas Dresen is nominated for Best Director at the European Film Awards. Ursula Werner is nominated for Best Actress. She plays a woman who has trouble choosing between 2 men. It's a psychological and emotional battle.
Ich habe immer so eine Sehnsucht nach ihm.
Warum hat sie mir eigentlich nie gesagt?
Nobody looks as sad as Elmar Wepper.
Wir dachten, wir hätten noch Zeit.
In Cherry Blossoms, he plays Rudy, a grieving widower who travels to Japan to gain a new understanding of his late wife. Elmar Wepper is also a candidate for Europe's Best Actor.
Da, Rudi, das ist für dich.
Ihr seid also der Meinung, dass eine Diktatur in Deutschland nicht mehr möglich wäre, ja?
Jürgen Vogel plays a charismatic schoolteacher whose experiment to demonstrate fascism spins horribly out of control in The Wave.
Disziplin, Herr Wenger. Ihr denkt mir schon ein bisschen zu weit.
Unzufriedenheit.
Interessant.
It's a true story, and Vogel's gripping portrayal of the teacher is certainly worth a nomination for Best Actor. Which of the 4 German nominees gets the chance to celebrate will be decided on December the 6th at the European Film Awards in Copenhagen. The beautiful blue and white skies of Bavaria. The mountains glitter, but death is on the prowl. Death visits Brandner Kasper, a poacher.
Du bist der Tod.
Ja, kann man nicht sagen. Kurz, verständlich, einprägsam.
Mag aber nicht. Schau, dass du rauskommst. Raus, sag ich. Sonst schieße ich!
Ja, was bist du jetzt so aggressiv, hä?
Director Josef Filzmeier was very lucky to cast German top comedian Bully Herbig as Death.
Weißt, Kasper, alles, was dir das Mitkommen erleichtert, soll gern geschehen. Aber mitkommen musst.
16 shots later, the poacher, played by playwright Franz Xaver Kreutz, has outfoxed Death. He has to explain that to his boss.
Herr Brandner Kasper, ist der schon herum?
Ja, freilich. Ich habe ihn ja persönlich hergebracht.
Vertrauen ist gut, Kontrolle ist besser. Führt ja, Herr von Tilden. Lass mich ungern sterben bei der Weißwürst.
Close to 1 million people have already seen this adaptation of the popular play. The charming comedy doesn't hesitate to poke fun at Bavarians' manners and dialect.
Auf dem Weg soll es in den Himmel gehen. Schwitzt du?
Ja, die schaff's alle.
Wart zu.
The German Short Film Prize 2008, held this year in Cologne, celebrates cinema's mini masterpieces. German Culture Minister Bernd Neumann announced the winners and handed over almost 300,000 euros in prize money. The Golden Lola for Best Film, up to 30 minutes long, went to a psychological drama. Rural Bavaria. The wife of the local baker begins to doubt her husband's innocence. Is he really a murderer?
Was willst du mir damit sagen? Dass ich nicht weiß, was meine Mama macht?
Das sehe ich doch Connor. Es ist nur so, er hat wohl zugegeben, dass er das Mädchen an dem Abend getroffen hat.
Sei mir nicht bes. Aber der Brötchen muss aus dem Ofen.
It's about what happens in a town where everyone knows one another when the accused is one of their own.
Winner for Best Short Documentary, Cosmic Station. Cut off from and forgotten by the rest of the world, Armenian scientists study the mystery of cosmic rays, hoping to unlock the secrets of the universe.
Professor Ara Daryan, the chief of Aragat's high-altitude scientific station.
Director Felix Hassenfratz will use the prize money towards his first feature-length film, celebration among the winners of this year's German Short Film Prize, for many the first step on a career in cinema.
Music biographies are a popular genre. Just look at the hit films about the lives of music legends Johnny Cash and Ray Charles. Today we're giving away a film about another music legend, Falco, Austria's one true rock star. If you remember the 80s, you might remember him. His song Rock Me Amadeus was a hit around the world. For a chance to win this DVD and the Falco t-shirt, just write to us and tell us what you think of our show. Here's our address. DWTV, Wolterstraße 6, 13355 Berlin. Email kino@dw-world.de. Classic photography has been a major influence on German master Wim Wenders, and it's the subject of his new film. Palermo Shooting is a road movie that travels between Düsseldorf and Palermo. It's also a trip into the shadow world of death. We took a look at the new Old Wenders.
German director Wim Wenders and his crew were on home turf for the premiere in Berlin. In his new film, Wenders immerses himself in the world of photography. The main character, Finn, is used to success in various circles. Gallery openings, women, parties, he lives life in the fast lane. Only a near accident with a wrong-way driver slows him down.
I wanted him to be a modern man, one who doesn't have time for anything, who does much too much. He's very successful, but in the end he misses out on life.
Wenders uses the film to reflect on his own life and restlessness. For the main role, he found his alter ego in German rock singer Campino. His portrayal of the photographer, who's played by nightmares, is convincing.
Wie oft stehe ich hier und gucke auf den Fluss runter. Gestern, vorgestern, heute, morgen. Alles wie ein und derselbe endlose Tag.
Wenders sends the photographer on a journey. In Palermo, Finn tries to look at life differently. Wenders captures the morbid charm of the city with atmospheric photos.
Non si muove. Ti dispiace se finisco il disegno?
And of course, love cannot be forgotten. Finn's encounter with Italian Flavia doesn't end his nightmares. He continues to be plagued by the fear of death.
Man muss einfach alles tun, als sei es zum letzten Mal.
Wenders ignores conventional film techniques.
In today's film industry, people are always trying to eliminate risk. Films are made to make money and not to discover or experience things. I wanted to make a film to learn something, and it's about an issue that concerns many people. Should I be afraid of death?
American star Dennis Hopper, an old friend of Wenders, is death personified.
Ich bin der Gang ins Offene.
Ich bin die Verbindungstür und keine Sackgasse.
But in the end, the impressive acting and beautiful imagery fails to convince. Perhaps Wenders expected too much from Palermo Shooting. Finn eventually frees himself from the nightmares and accepts death as part of life. Palermo Shooting is a typical Wenders film, not his best work, but still has some intense moments.
That's all for today's show. We're back just before Christmas with a look at this year's German cinema highlights. Until then, see you at the movies.